Hey, what's up everybody? Thank you for tuning into another one. I'm Joshua.
I'm Madison.
And today we are out here walking by Madison's house. It is super hot here, but we decided we were going to start a new series, what it's like, and then, fill in the blank after that. We'll be talking about what it's like with a blind or visually impaired person in different situations or relationships. So we'll talk to our siblings about what it's like having a blind or visually impaired sibling, what it's like having someone who's blind or visually impaired as a child, as a friend, and obviously with me and Madison right now, which we'll kick off the series with, we're going to be talking about what it's like dating somebody else who is blind or visually impaired.
So I hope you guys really enjoy this video, and we'll get into it.
Let's go!
Alright, so I have optic nerve hypoplasia, which means I have a shortened optic nerve. It takes a little while for my brain to recognize all of the information that's being filtered through the optic nerve, and that's basically what causes my visual impairment. So because of that, I'm only able to see things about 10 feet away. After that, it gets a little blurry, and it also just depends on how close or how far people are from me. So I can see 18-point font when I read. I'm able to see people's faces but not their eye color, things like that.
Cool. And yeah, for me, I have retinitis pigmentosa, so I have no peripheral vision and very limited central vision. My depth perception is a bit of an issue. My eyes shake, so it's hard for me to focus on things. So right now, I don't really read print. I really rely on screen reader technology and different types of description to be able to get a sense of the surrounding or any type of materials I'm accessing. Hi, so Madison and I actually met 7 years ago in 2014. I know it's crazy to think about that, but we've been dating for a little over 5 years now.
I believe your sister introduced us way back when, 7 years ago apparently, and I met him. He's testing me. I met him at your sister's house.
Nope.
Oh, I met him on the bus.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was funny because I was on my way to a party at a friend's apartment, and his sister is also a part of our friend group, and Joshua was in town at that time for reasons unknown, at least on my end of the story.
I was just visiting.
And I was introduced to him on the bus. So the whole entire time we were like sitting back to back on the way over to the apartment, and I remember thinking, oh, that guy's really cute. The whole time during that party, I was like making goo-goo eyes at him.
She was making goo-goo eyes. I was trying to make conversation to add substance, but she was giving me one-word answers. So I was like, okay, she's either mad or she's a quiet type, or I don't know, maybe I stink. All right, so after dating for a while, there are qualities that stand out. Some you had to get adapted to. For me, a quality that stands out of Madison is how practical she is. She likes to make sure all the details are addressed. Me, I'm more of a big picture kind of person, and I just, see the end result, and how I get there is something I'll figure out along the way.
I feel like that's changed over the years.
Yeah, it actually has. But that's because of you. You took a practical and logical approach to things, which, made things a lot more efficient, a lot smoother. We were able to avoid obstacles or hiccups as best we can. So thank you.
When I first met Jesh, rewinding back to that party. So at that party, I really admired how charming Joshua was. At the time, I had some pretty good friends back
Lucky
then.
Charming.
Don't flatter yourself too much. But I really loved just how approachable he was. He was very social and very likable. And that's the thing that I loved about him.
Wow,
he was just
likable, not even lovable. Friend-zonable.
Everyone just flocked to him and was able to just carry on a long conversation with him.
The shepherd's got to keep track of his sheep.
Are you going to be making... I can't edit out these sad comments, Jesh.
Oh no, it's the tough one.
We're going to be moving on to qualities that we had to adapt to throughout our relationship. And this isn't necessarily bad. It was just something that I had to adjust to. I was never a sarcastic person. There was always one person in the family who could get away with sarcasm, and I was not that person. I'm naturally very sensitive, and so Joshua would always, not always, but it seemed like the more I got to know him, it came out a lot more where he would retort with very, very sarcastic remarks, and I would take offense to them.
I wasn't doing it to be mean. I was just, in my head, I'm like, oh, this is funny. Let me say it.
Yeah, but I never really understood that humor. So I was able to catch on to it a little more, but and I think now I've even worked on my funny bone and gotten a little more sarcastic, but that was the one thing that I had to adapt to in terms of quality.
All right, my turn. A quality I had to adapt to was Madison's punctuality.
What? You mean my lack of punctuality?
Well, no, because it's funny, because that's the thing. So actually, I should just say I had to adapt to your timing.
Okay.
Because anytime we make plans, Madison will tell me, oh, Joshua, come on, hurry up. We have to get here by, this time and that time. And so I'll be stressing, I'll be rushing. And, now I try to do my best to prep things ahead of time. So it's not so much that Madison wanted us to be on time. It's more of she wants me to be on time, but she could take as long as she needs to. As long as I'm ready, cool, that's all I can control. Madison, she'll get ready when she's ready. I'll ask her how long it's gonna take her to do something, and she'll say, oh, 20 minutes. And 30 minutes later, not completely done yet.
Hey, it's not that bad.
It's not a huge deal. It's just something that's funny. It's at first when it happened, I'm like, it's one of those things like, man, you're making me rush and you're not ready yet. But now it's just like, all right, cool. All right, so now we're gonna talk about, whether or not we considered a person's level of vision when we, thought about dating, whether it was each other or just dating in general. I had still a little bit of a negative perspective on not just my disability, but disabilities in general. So when, I thought about, potential dates or anything like that, I was against dating somebody who was also visually impaired, just because I thought it would be inconvenient. I wasn't really comfortable with my own disability. But when I met Madison, it kind of changed everything, actually leading up to that point. I started becoming more comfortable and confident with my own disability. It wasn't a huge issue. So when Madison and I started dating, it's not something that I had to ask myself, do I want to date her even though she's, low vision? We connected naturally, and so it wasn't even something I had to think twice about.
If to me it didn't really matter if someone was, tall and tan and handsome. It was just more of that emotional connection, which I got with Joshua, and he just so happened to be blind, and that was that. I think it was more of not necessarily backlash, but a difference in perspective with my family, especially when I introduced him. It was something to get used to, but even then, I think they realized that I was happy at the time, and we were good. That was okay. Now he's a part of the family. All right, so in terms of dating while both of us are being visually impaired, it's just an inevitable thing where our visual impairment does affect our dynamic.
Yeah.
And for me, I think one thing that I noticed right off the bat is Joshua's progressive sight loss. And it's not like it was anything, drastic or anything, but I would notice that, one day he would be able to tell that I was coming up to him to shake his hand, and then maybe a week or so later, he wouldn't be able to see that anymore.
Yeah, even that just fluctuates all the time. So, and Madison will also have her days where her vision is better than other days. Mm-hmm. And so just recognizing that today might be a vision day, the next day might not be.
Yes.
So being able to be flexible and adapt.
It's really nice to be able to talk to each other about those problems. You can't have that friend group where people who are visually impaired, other than your family or your teachers, people in your own peer group can give you advice, but to have Joshua here, you know, like we're just readily available to each other with advice and perspective, so it's nice to have that.
Yeah, and I think also just like on a bit of a smaller scale, just, you know, day-to-day things like transportation, or even us just, you know, seeing each other. We live in different areas. We can't just hop in a car and visit each other as fast. It does take some time since we take the train. Even when we go on dates, we have to figure out what's the situation going to be like. Are things walkable? Do we have to take a bus, or is someone offering us a ride somewhere? So, you know, that's something that plays a factor in our relationship. It's just something to be mindful of, and I think we make it work.
We do make it work, and I think that's what any relationship boils down to in the end, no matter the differences or the obstacles.
Yeah, and I think if you're just willing to put in the effort, or, you know, if not just willing to put in the effort, I feel like willing is just one of those things, like, I guess if it's the last option, but if you want to put in the effort, both people are invested in the relationship, then it's something that isn't even seen as a big obstacle. It's just something that, you know, needs to be taken into consideration. So that's all we have for y'all today. We hope you enjoyed it, because we are sweating bullets out here.
Thank you for walking with us around the neighborhood, getting to know us a little bit. If you have any questions about, you know, dating life for the blind and visually impaired, or just for us in general, please comment down below.
Yeah, comment down below, or just send us an email at jeshandmads@gmail.com. We'll be happy to answer any of those questions. And definitely stay tuned, because we're going to be putting out more videos. Like I said, we're going to be talking to some friends, some family members. So we're going to get different people's perspectives. That way, whether you have a visual impairment, or you're the friend or family member of someone with a visual impairment, you know, can feel more comfortable and confident in, you know, whatever situation you are in.
Well, we're excited to pump those out for you, so click that subscribe button if you want to see more. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.